we are a little bit beyond automation and we want to bring that intelligence into accounts payable. So this is where we are. We are an accounts payable product. However, where you'd like to position Troud very much is that not only do we power your business, but we actually protect your business. So as MYOB Acumatica has seen, you really shouldn't be doing any data entry at all. No matter what products you're using, data entry really is something that can be done way more accurately and way more easily by AI, and whatever form you take it. However, Trailed has been thinking about this for quite a few years now. We started here in Melbourne in 2019. And so we're suddenly having to talk, and we've got AI built into our product from the very beginning. And it's only in the last year, with everybody getting so excited about it, they're actually having to talk a little bit more about it in that way. So what we do really is not only we do the automation, but actually our business is really being built as invoice fraud protection first. And that is very much built on the experience of our founders. Our founders both experienced invoice fraud. One was through a business email compromise, and their company lost something like $300,000 when a hacker pretended to be the CFO and authorized an invoice going overseas. And the other one experienced it because it was basically insider collusion. There was a fake supplier on the outside, somebody on the inside authorizing these invoices. So they felt that when they looked at that relative to their own credit cards and the amount of protection we all have on our personal credit cards, that they realized that business to business payments has a much bigger impact on the business relative to, say, what my personal credit card limit is, which is actually pretty small. When you're going millions of dollars every month through a business, it can actually be potentially, highly impactful, could damage the business irreparably if there isn't this protection. So that's where Trailed has really come from. So let me go through. So now I'm going to play a video.
Still wrestling with accounts payable in MYOB? Meet Trailed, the AP platform delivering effortless and secure automation from invoice to payment with a seamless out-of-the-box integration with MYOB that feels like magic. Seeing is believing, so let me show you how Trailed works. Trailed automatically syncs all invoice attachments from your inbox. Or you can upload invoices on demand. Have a PDF that contains multiple invoices? Trailed identifies each invoice and automatically splits them into individual invoices for you. Trailed's AI has seen millions of invoices, so from the first moment you use it, header and line level data are automatically extracted with unparalleled accuracy from even the trickiest invoice formats. Trailed's always-on anomaly detection scans invoices for fraud, errors, and mistakes, spotting patterns invisible to the human eye, like unusual invoice metadata or suspicious system changes, and flagging risks immediately. Invoices are linked to POs, subcontracts, and receipts in MYOB, with 2- or 3-way matching done at the line item level and variances displayed clearly for investigation. Landed cost transactions are also matched. GL codes, sub-accounts, projects, jobs, and more from MYOB are automatically allocated for you. Invoices can be split and allocated to different cost centres at the header or line level. Want to change how something's been coded or mapped? Simply make the change once, and Trailed's machine learning remembers it for next time. From here, you choose the pace. Have low-risk matched invoices automatically approved, allowing your team to focus on just the invoices that need attention. Automatically direct invoices with variances or higher risk through digital approval paths based on your set approval rules. You can also establish approval hierarchies for greater control. Collaboration is key to streamlining your approvals, so anyone in your team can be added as users in Trailed, and role-based access rights and approval limits can be set. Invoices automatically assigned to you will show up here, and you will be notified and followed up via email to ensure timely approvals. Approving is easy in Trailed, with the decision support and detail you need in one place. Easily tag your colleagues to investigate further and approve, reject, or skip, even while out on the go. At any point in time, you can see all your invoices in one place and can filter by company, due date, and by what stage they are at. Approved invoices are exported with attachments into the Payables module of MYOB, ready for inclusion in an upcoming batch payment. Executives can review batch payments directly within Trailed, gaining greater visibility and control before making payment. With Trailed's powerful network intelligence and hundreds of real-time validation checks, supplier verification is built in, so you can confidently pay even new suppliers. Trailed's AI builds behavioural fingerprints of your business and suppliers to flag anomalies and payment risks. You can easily drill down into each payment to view invoice-level details, enabling informed and secure decision-making. Here you can see the Trailed invoice risk score, who approved an invoice, and if the invoices have been reconciled. The invoice is also linked if a deeper level of investigation is required. Executives can leave a comment next to a payment and tag colleagues for further action. Approving a batch payment creates an auditable record. Payment can then be executed directly in Trail in just one click, with payments processed via ACH, check, wire, virtual card, FX, and Swift, all seamlessly and safely from the one platform. With a plug-and-play setup, easy-to-use platform with minimal training required and no lock-ins, implementing Trailed in MYOB is not a big project. It's a smart step forward. Book your personalised demo today.
So that gives you a whirlwind tour of what Trailed is about. So, and I will talk to you a little bit about Trailed versus AP document recognition, but essentially Trailed is certainly about the automation, but it's also about a digital approvals process that sits within in one spot, which is auditable, and it always has this always on in anomaly detection. So previously we talked about anomaly detection. We've talked about how you can see the metadata. Well, Trailed can look at the metadata. It can look at predict trends. And it can also it matches a lot of the data relative to your supplier data sitting in MYOB Acumatica. So what Trailed is effectively doing is it actually looks at 150 data points, about 150 data points, not only in MYOB Acumatica, but it looks at bank details. It looks at company registration and tax registration details. It looks at trend data and it says, does this amount that we're looking at look normal for your business? And it starts to also look at the metadata behind the invoices that actually the human eye can't see. So it looks at the geolocations of where an invoice is sent in from, or even if the PDF itself of the invoice has been manipulated. And I wanted to take you through a journey here of how we move from that automation journey very much into AI. So we have a customer here in Melbourne called Detector Inspector, and they were growing really fast. They were a 50-person business, but in that 50-person business, they had 2 people looking after accounts payable. But it was a lot of manual data entry and there was a lot of inefficiencies. And they could see that their supplier payments were going a little bit out of control. The team was working a lot of overtime to get everything in. And of course, inevitably, we're human. We do make mistakes. And, that is our greatest strength, but also can be our greatest weakness. So this is where Trail put in our automated invoice processing. So we actually extract the data from an invoice, we classify it, and we can actually provide that where the really time-consuming part is that systematic 2-way, 3-way matching between invoices, purchase orders, and goods receipts, and making sure that there are no variances. So we did that with the Detector Inspector with Jordan, and he was really happy about it. So around the next stage of anticipate, which is obviously the second theme that we're looking at today, Jordan realized that he was paying over $2 million every week without systematic controls. And while Jordan did not pay a fraudulent invoice, he did actually have an overpayment. And he had no idea when he was signing off, as most people do at the managing director level of a business, they sign off the batch payments without any real insight of who the money's going to, whether they should be paying it, whether the bank details are correct. And the only way you can verify that is by doing a lot of very manual work with your team. So we put in this, what we call the executive payment review. So he can actually get a summary payment, a summary issue of which mirrors all the batch payments that sit in MYOB, with that trailed risk overlay put on top of it. So you can see whether they're verified by trail, whether the bank accounts are consistent. And you can look at every single risk profile that sits on every single invoice, and it can help him make better decisions. Now, Trailed never stopped, Trailed has put AI into the business to help better decision making. So while we have that automation part, we really see ourselves as a risk management tool for you as a finance team to manage your business better. You should be concentrating on the problematic things, the things that look a bit strange, and we're there to help you do that. We're never going to take away the really important decisions of who you want to pay and why you want to pay them. That is a business decision for you, but we can help you make better decisions around that. So now we're in 2026, and now we wanted to help Jordan accelerate his business. And his business, like many of you out there today, are thinking about how you can adopt AI for greater efficiency and growth. And we realized, and what he came to us and said is like, I'm spending a huge amount of time on supplier statement reconciliations. I have somebody in my team sitting there with a ruler, going through every single invoice, checking this is what, this is what needs to do. And when I've been talking to different people around that, I was like, oh yeah, it takes us 5 days every month to go through all these statements. And it's a huge time sink, but very, very little added value. Important to have that human oversight, but it's something you could actually teach a machine to do. So we have created a very narrow, high focus AI agent to do this. So in the same way that we match invoices with purchase orders and goods receipts, now what Trailed can do is you can upload your supplier statement reconciliation, and Trailed Trail's AI can look for that inside Trailed and or in Acumatica. It can identify the invoices exist. It will also then identify if there are any variances. And the next stage of this project is that we will be able to send an automatic note to the supplier to say there is a variance. Can you send in the invoice or, explain the variance around here? So Trailed is very customer led. We do want to stay ahead of the curve, and we're now looking at AI agents that actually really address practical, real life issues for our customers in the finance team. So how do we think about AI? And this is very much echoing what Ronnie said in the very beginning. We do want to improve efficiency, but we still believe that it's important to have human oversight and that human governance. So where we can automate low risk, high volume activities like transaction analysis, using transaction analysis and detection, we will do that. And it means that we can provide those risk insights to support finance teams. However, we are never going to go into a situation where we'll just automatically authorize an AI agent to pay a supplier for you. That is a very critical business decision. And we can flag those risks, but we do want to make sure that the execution of the things that really matter to your business stay within the human control. So we will always have that human control for oversight and execution, but we will make sure that we can develop high value, narrow impact agents that help you. And you might have seen in that video before, we talked about how Trailed can now pay suppliers through the Trailed platform. That is actually something that is sitting in our US business. We are introducing something called Trailed Pay, but that's giving you a hint of how we're starting to use that AI in different ways for our businesses as we go forward. You can see now this is Trailed actually with the old branding sitting in the MYOB. We are totally natively integrated into the MYOB Acumatica space. Your invoices can be uploaded here very quickly. This is actually looking for a purchase, so it's looking at the purchase orders, and this is telling you it's already got receipts available. It's already starting to do that matching for you. And you can see going across here that I'm going to be the approver for it. So you actually have a really strong, and this is the process here. They come in as a draft. They can go as pending review, approve, which means they're ready to go into Acumatica. So let's just have a quick look at this one. So you're seeing this purchase order and this invoice come into trail. The only thing I really need to do add here is add the invoice date because it's matching with a fuzzy match. You can see, if I was looking at that, you can see how we've got a red box moving around the screen. Again, like AP DocRec, you can train that to wherever you want it to go. The supplier information is being pulled in not only from MYOB Acumatica, it's also being pulled in from various business databases. Now, if I, for example, change this to, if I change this part here to another supplier, it's going to tell me that these payment details are not detected in the system, and you might want to look at that. So it's immediately, as soon as an invoice comes into trailed, it is starting to tell you, starting to look at things for you to make sure that all the way through the system, that it's all going to be correct all the way through. So it's highlighting issues not only at the AP level, but at the approvals level and at the final level for the CFO or managing director. I quickly check that that's right, the amount details. Now what it's done here, I can say it's got some receipted items. I can actually quickly, it's gone into your purchase order, it's found it in my MYOB. You can add the receipted items like that. And you can see the receipts against it. It does have a variance because it's matched against the purchase order. Our system knows that and can quickly add in the freight. The variance goes to 0. It's telling you the activities. They're all recorded against this as an audited time-stamped trail, and it will learn what GL codes. I don't have to do any GL coding because it's already been matched to the purchase order. But if there was a non-purchase order, I can actually change it here. I can change it on the line levels. Now I can mark that as on hold or urgent if that's what I want it to do. And I can actually now submit it for review for the next person. And then I quickly go to my next one. Now this one has immediately told me it's another Officeworks invoice. It's got a purchase order against it, which is great, but it's not finding anything. And probably the reason why is it's already been put in the system and we're flagging that straight away. So I'm not going to do anything with that one. I can try and submit it if I want, and I'll show you what happens. So it will quickly, I'll just do the, where is it? I just need to change that due date to make sure I've done that there. I will try and do it and I will show you what happens. Got to work pretty hard to make sure if I'm going to get it into the system. You can still do it, but you have to say, I'm just going to save that one as a draft. Now this invoice here, I would say is what I would call a typical fraudulent invoice. So this is, I get a lot of people saying to me, oh, we have a lot of same suppliers. We work with them year in, year out. This is a supplier that I immediately predisposed to recognize and approve, particularly if it's been sent in at 4 o'clock on a Friday at month end. However, so I recognize the logo, it looks all good. However, it's come up immediately saying the payment details are not detected. And so the payment details I've got here are not the same as the ones on the invoice. So it could be that your suppliers, somebody else has grabbed their invoice and they've manipulated it and put in a couple of extra details and changed, and suddenly you could be paying someone differently. Now, again, if I really want to put this through the system, I can, and I'll show you what happens when at the risk level, because it will provide a different risk level. So I'm just going to go now back. So this is one of those invoices where you can actually just split. So I've got a digital stapler here. You can actually put in any extra information you want there. But I can actually split this invoice here because I can see it's a 4-page invoice and it's going to suggest where we should split it. So this is going to say, I'm going to split this here and I'm going to split it here. That just quickly goes into 3 invoices like that. So I've done my invoice work. I'm now moving into an approver role. Quickly want to approve these invoices, and you can see now that these invoices that I've put through the system have a risk warning. One's green, one's red. So the green one I can quickly approve just automatically at this level if I wanted to go in, and that way if it was approved, then it goes immediately into MYOB Acumatica. So let's have a look at this one here. Has all the same information as you had previously, but with regards to the invoice, supplier, the price, it's got all the goods information here if I wanted to have that goods information in. It's got my audit trail. However, it's pretty hard to avoid the risk profile in the middle, and it's telling you not only with the payment details not detected, it's actually exceeding the supplier maximum. And now you're starting to get that trend data in there as well, saying the supplier average is only $375. This is $8,000. So what do I want to do about that? I have the role of approving or rejecting. I could edit that if I wanted to. I'm going to reject it and I can say why I'm rejecting it. So just to give you an idea of how you can that. So not only is there invoice protection happening at the AP level, it's now happening at the approver level as well. So quickly I'm going to move now into the payment review screen for the CFO. So the CFO now they've created your batch payments inside MYOB Acumatica. What Trailed does is it provides a mirror of that information straight back into Trailed. So you don't do the payments here at this stage. And every batch here is giving you the summary information, which is pretty typical on what you see. However, what you can do with Trailed is actually you can go in and look at all the items inside that batch payment. It's giving you the total amounts. And ideally, you should see a quick little green profile here. There are some that are more problematic than others. I'm going to look at this one here, and the most problematic ones will arrive to the top. So instead of having to look through, you can actually get the granular information that you need right then and there. So for this one here, I can see that there's a lot of green invoices here. They've passed through the Trailed risk profile really well. You've got one here, it's red. I can see who approved it. I can write to them. But there's one sitting in the system and it's for a pretty big amount and it's not been through the Trailed system. Maybe that's fine, maybe it's not. But when you're looking at 97,000 out of 124, I'd be wanting to investigate that. So it's providing you that granular detail then and there about what you'd like to do. So it's not stopping you from doing anything, but it's providing better information and decision making for you. I'm going to quickly show you the same way we did do the invoice matching with purchase orders and goods receipts. We now do that also with supplier statement reconciliations. So what it's doing now is when it comes up onto my screen, it's taking a while. What it's doing is it's reading that information on the left-hand side, pulling it out on the right-hand side. You can see the little red boxes. Now all I need to do is do find matches, and they're looking both in Trailed and in MYOB Acumatica to see if there are any variances or if we can mark them reconciled or not. So that's a quick whirlwind view of what Trailed looks like sitting in MYOB Acumatica. It is designed to be very user-friendly, provide to give you with the risk insights that you need to make your business better. So you've already heard Fiona talk about AP DocRec. And of course, if that is the right thing for your business, go for it. And we would always say that there are different horses for different courses. Trailed, if you do have complexity with regards to your industry, Trailed is very deeply integrated with manufacturing edition, construction edition, and the distribution edition of MYOB Acumatica. We obviously do provide that risk profile there, very deep into your finances because we believe that you should only pay the suppliers that you really want to pay rather than the ones just because, it's come in. We do provide the supplier statement reconciliation. We do provide the invoice approval workflows. And a lot of people love it because it means that they can go to a paperless workplace. But, talk to your partners, talk to MYOB about what is best for you. They will certainly know your business as well as you do and provide you with the right recommendations. So what does Trail mean for your business? We do want to reduce that manual workload. We do want you to have faster month end. I talked to a customer who closes month end on the 10th day of every month, which seems like quite a long month end. You should be able to have, you're not going to have fewer errors and strong controls. But the idea is that we actually want your finance team to be straight focused on strategy, using their brains on the things that really matter, not on finance admin like this. And we're really proud to say that this little company that has come from Melbourne has grown from strength to strength. And we're now 300 people strong across the world. And we were actually awarded the Acumatica ISV Partner of the Year earlier this year in Seattle. So we were pretty proud of that. So homegrown and hopefully conquering the world is where we're wanting to be.